Sorry about that time I turned you into a frog.
It was a wonderful joke.
It was indeed hilarious.
We've got brand new reports confirming aspects of the plot for the upcoming Loki series. It's time to preview what the God of Mischief's gonna be doing in Phase 4.
It's like the news, but for nerds.
Today's shout out goes to Rafael Antonio Cabrero. Dope name, by the way. Indeed, Big Daddy Palps is from the planet of Naboo. Make sure you stay at the end of this video where we will ask another nerd card question. What's up, everybody? I'm Josh. Welcome back to the den. Happy Friday to you. And whew, I don't have to tell you this, but it's been a pretty wild week. And on a serious note, there's been some weird glitchy stuff going on with YouTube that has affected not only our views, but the views of a lot of other YouTubers out there. Things like this just happen. YouTube's a big machine. It's always trying to update things. But you know what you should do as a user? Go check out some of the videos from your favorite YouTubers throughout this week. They've probably done videos that you haven't seen. Okay, let's get into these tasty merveille rumors. That was like a combination of like 6 different accents. But yeah, we got new Marvel leaks, guys. This stuff's coming from MCU Cosmic. Jeremy Conrad over there just published an article this morning talking about some new stuff for the Loki Disney Plus MCU Phase 4 series. But first, let's get everyone up to date on everything we already knew about the Loki series. Maybe you didn't know about the Loki series, and then we'll get into the new stuff that Jeremy talked about. This video is legitimately going to be a pretty good preview of what to expect in the Loki series. Okay, so as Kevin Feige said at San Diego Comic-Con, this is the Loki from Endgame, the one that takes the Tesseract and just disappears from that moment in time. Now, there were a lot of leaks and rumors that this series would be about Loki causing mischief throughout the history of humanity, and there was even some concept art shown to Disney shareholders a couple of months back, which did show Tom Hiddleston as Loki in the 1970s. Now, the new info not only confirms all of the things that we had been hearing in the past, but it also tells us that Loki is actually going to be changing historical events throughout humanity's history. So not only is it the Loki from Endgame that has the Tesseract, but he is going to be traveling throughout time in human history, and he is going to be changing events. Now, important to note here, this report is coming from sources close to Jeremy Conrad that are in the production side of things, and production for these Disney Plus shows is starting to ramp up, so he's getting more info. So just so you're clear, that's where this info is coming from. Now, the show will be coming out in 2021, and it's all in this little block of content for Marvel in Phase 4, which includes WandaVision, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and then of course the Loki series. Now, what's really cool about this is there's a lot of multiverse stuff happening in that chunk of content. There's a lot of different things you could draw like from that as far as speculation, but just keep that in mind. That chunk of time for the MCU is all dealing with mysticism and also the multiverse. We also think it's important to let people know that although the show is going to be tampering with historical events, it's not going to affect history, right? So the way they did this with the branching off timelines, this is the whole Endgame time travel effect, but Loki basically is in a branch timeline right now. So whatever he does to humanity, like however he wants to affect history, it will have repercussions for that timeline, but it won't affect the main timeline where all of our heroes are at in the MCU 616. But actually, that's kind of confusing because we don't even know what the main timeline is. And the fact that the Infinity Stones are gone means all of time is sort of in chaos, as the Ancient One explained in Avengers Endgame. But that's the official report, guys. Loki gonna be the one from Endgame with the Tesseract. He is gonna be going throughout time and changing historical events, causing a lot of mischief in the history of humankind on Midgard, or what we would call Earth. That sounds really dope to me. Let us know what you think about that in the comment section below. And now it's time to go to Speculation Town, baby. I travel so much to Speculation Town, I got an easy pass for their highways. Okay, so the first thing I gotta say is Secret Wars. Now, here's the thing. Loki being from a different branch timeline and then going to this other part in time within that timeline is really cool and really confusing, but the fact that it's all dealing with the multiverse and the fact that Doctor Strange is going to be dealing with the multiverse, WandaVision is going to be dealing with the multiverse, this leaves the door open for the multiverse itself playing a big role, sort of a outside threat, if you will, or a bigger, wider, problem that the characters of the MCU have to deal with. And a brilliant way you could tie that all together would be through Secret Wars, through the Beyonders. Basically what the Avengers did in Endgame sort of broke reality in a lot of different ways, and the way we could get to Secret Wars is that the Beyonders view reality as sort of a failed experiment now because of what the, Avengers did in Endgame. And actually at the end of this video, I'm gonna give you the absolute coolest way that they could end this series and tie it into the Secret Wars movie, which by the way, could be coming out in 2024. I almost did a full video on this, but there's a lot of speculation about this crazy MCU movie that's coming out in 2024. Hopefully we get some of that announced at D23. All right, the next bit of speculation is all about time travel. Like, Loki's got the space stone, not the mother flippin' time stone. How's he even traveling through time? One possible explanation is he's doing this through his own magic, and the fact that, reality sort of breaking maybe gives him the ability to do this where he wouldn't have had that ability normally. Maybe he tracks down the Avengers that are, using time travel, and he uses that to go back in time. This could all have to do with him hiding from Thanos, right? So in his timeline, he's technically failed Thanos. He has an Infinity Stone. Thanos is going to be coming for him. So it's very possible that he's hiding from Thanos by traveling through time. And my current theory on this actually is that when he travels from that branch timeline using the Tesseract, that actually the Tesseract itself takes him to way back in the day on Earth. Like maybe he doesn't time travel, but maybe something weird happens and he is mistakenly teleported to way back in time. And then instead of traveling throughout time, just because Loki sort of lives for way longer than humans, perhaps Loki actually is just living throughout time and he's changing things, but we're picking up with him at different moments throughout his long, almost immortal life. Now, another thing I wanted to speculate is about Loki's arc, because right now, that's not a good guy Loki. That's still bad guy Loki. So there's a lot of things that Tom Hiddleston's character has happened to him that, affects his character. We see a brilliant character arc for the main universe Loki, the main timeline Loki, but that's not what this Loki is. So they're gonna have to find a way to put him through a really interesting timeline arc as a character. And it actually reminded me of this really crazy Alan Watts story. So we're gonna get really weird for a second here. But Alan Watts has this sort of theory about reality, and he talks about this idea that if you could dream a dream of any reality you wanted to and just live there, that at first you would do all sorts of crazy things, have all sorts of adventures, do all godlike sort of things. But then over time, those things would get really boring and you would not enjoy knowing the outcome of everything and being all powerful, that there's a sort of spice to life that is created by mortality. And so eventually you start to change things and have little adventures and things that you didn't know would be happening until, you change reality so much that you actually arrive at the very life you are living right now. Because it's actually, believe it or not, even with omnipotence, the most interesting existence you could have. Now, I've always liked that story from Alan Watts. It's kind of a kooky idea about, if we are all gods of the metaphysical, why would we choose to live these mortal lives? It's a Hindu idea, a Buddhist idea. It's very interesting. But the story relates to Loki because I think the arc that Loki is going to be going on is that he is sort of unabated in his power. He realizes that things are different, that he's in a branch timeline, and he's changing things. He's doing weird stuff just simply to have mischief be caused and to amuse himself, to bring himself pleasure. But eventually that's gonna get old. He's gonna be doing so much weird stuff like that, and I think at the end of the day, it's gonna be leaving him feeling very empty. Like a weird way that he could learn lessons about life is just learning how hollow it is to do all of these things, to get all the things you think you want, all the things that you think will make you happy, only to realize that it was not what would actually make you happy. Now finally, and this is just total fanboyish hope, but please make this happen, Kevin Feige. My ideal ending for the Loki series is he comes to this sort of a conclusion. He realizes this thing about himself. He wants to do something greater. He wants a greater purpose. He wants real friendship, real camaraderie, some kind of a mission, right? And then mother flippin' Steve Rogers with Mjolnir and the Infinity Stones shows up and says, hey man, you really want that opportunity? Come with me. There's a fight on our hands, and we need your help. And then nothing else. You know nothing else after that. But what this is is Secret Wars. That in the timeline that Cap goes back in time with the Infinity Stones to put them back, we know a lot of stuff happens and transpires. But one of those things I think would be Secret Wars. That Cap would understand that the entire universe is being threatened by the Beyonders, of being shut down, or whatever route they want to go with Secret Wars, maybe the original. But either way, Cap is the way to get all of these characters to go throughout different timelines, grab up these characters, and bring them to Battle World and have Secret Wars. So that would be my ideal ending for the Loki series. And by the way, perfect way to tie everything to Secret Wars in 2024. Post-credit scenes with Captain America and the Infinity Stones. Yes, please. And that's gonna do it for the show. We broke down the preview for what to expect in the Loki series, and we went to Speculation Town talking about the cool things I think would be dope if they showed up in the show. Now let's check the nerd card before we get out of here. And the question is, what villain was recently confirmed to be the villain of Doctor Strange 2? There was a lot of confusion on whether or not this was legit, but it appears to have leaked. And yes, this villain will be the main villain for Doctor Strange 2. What villain am I talking about? Answer that question in the comment section below. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.